I'm continuing the analysis of the book 7.5 Lessons About the Brain, and I am in 50th chapter. In this chapter, we can read your brain secretly works with other brains. I made some bookmarks, and we can say that practically all things that I do influences other people around me. In simple words, that is, but the explanations or the details about these concepts are simply explained by hormones and schemas, but not only this, because a simple touch can produce effects that are different between distinct metabolisms, and the loneliness is a factor. The loneliness is a factor to increase disease, to to have illness. So we are social beings, and our capacity to socialize will be explained in the last chapter when the author talk about the capacity or the skill to create social reality. Hence, the relevance for the social contact is clear, because we can talk about the power of words, and this is not a metaphor. Is more it's not a metaphor, because the powers can influences internally. The language also controls the insides of your body. And the reality that I see outside me is experienced inside me. The role of the imagination is relevant here. And there is a duality, there is an ambiguity, because the best thing for your nervous system is another human. On the contrary, the worst thing for humans are other humans. This paradox is represented by the contradiction inherent. This contradiction inside the essence or the humankind. And we know that the humanity haven't a unique and eternal way, a unique or eternal way of think. For this reason, my behavior depends on other behaviors, but I can change and obviously I can modify my reality by social reality and the beyond the power of the words that can create realities and modify internal ways, internal schemas. It's interesting to it's interesting to speak that if you are exposed to social stress within 2 hours of a meal, this adds 104 calories to the meal. Our metabolism can absorb, can add more calories, and consequently we will to grow or to get more fat than other time if I eat stressed. Other thing interesting to talk is that the stress can increase other disease as cancer and diabetes, because the brain is damaged. The damages in the brain are degeneracy or reduction. The brain gets smaller than health brains while we are stressed. The stress interferes on the capacity, or better, the stress interferes in the brain plasticity. The brain plasticity is influenced by stress too. There is other issues about the dependence, the freedom, and one hand the freedom and on the other hand the responsibility. But in lesson 6, titled Brains Make More Than One Kind of Mind, we can see the variability, we can see the diversity when we talk about humanity, when we talk about human beings and species. So The evolution requires the development of humankind, the development of humanity requests variability. For simple reasons, we can notice that in climatic disasters, for example, when if we are a unique species and a cataclysm does damages, does kills. If there is a unique species, this species will be extincted. But if exists variability, we can survive. So all minds, all types of beings, all types of species, all types of brains, all types of personalities are important. All types of minds are important, are relevant to reach at first to survive. Second, there is tests like MBTI or Myers-Briggs type indicator, which sorts of people, or better, MBTI is explained which sorts of people are divided into 16 little boxes labeled with different personalities. Different personality types to classify and to reduce, because the science in general rights is the science is the reduction of the reality, is the compress. But I will talk a little bit about the compression in another chapter. These boxes used to classify human behaviors or personalities is quoted by the author in this manner. Sadly, the MBTI science validity is pretty dubious. Why is dubious the validity? Why the validity of the MBTI is dubious? Because Myers-Briggs uses the beliefs or the system of beliefs about yourself, about persons, about people. But we know that the behavior is always changing and evolves. Hence, the author jokes, I prefer the Hogwarts sorting tests. I prefer the Hogwarts sorting test. And she continue joking. I'm a Ravenclaw. Other serious problem in the science in general is that the scientists decide what is science at first for consequence. They decide they decide what is normal, but we know that the normal is relative. This relativism is interesting because we are still cramming the variation into a lot of little box, but it's a start, quotes the author. In the seventh chapter, titled Our Brains Can Create Reality, the first pages begin with some examples, as in 1776 a collection of 13 British colonies vanished and was replaced by the United States of America. This reality that the author called social reality is created by humans. Consequently, we know that, for example, the roads and the symbols and the letters and the words are human creations. Hence, are imperfect or incompleted. Other interesting example is that studies show that wine tastes better when people believe it's expensive. Coffee labeled eco-friendly tastes better to people than identical unlabeled coffee. It's like a placebo effect. And the 5 C's: creativity, communication, copying, cooperation, and compression are so relevant than other concepts showed by the author, because the 5 C's represent the effects of communication as a shared knowledge that enable us to construct, to build not only houses and companies and cars, airplanes, but the language is showed as the skill necessary and the more developed skill in humans in comparison with other animals, when we think that other animals has certainly a type of communication, but our region, region, our brain regions called prefrontal cortex is useful to think, and not only this, but to integrate other connections, and in this network we can create social reality different than other animals that has more simple schemas, more simple and less, for sure, less developed regions of the brain, and these reasons are the time, the intensity, because the time probably that the humans developed the, the prefrontal cortex was bigger than other animals. The second C, or the first, is the creativity, the capacity to mix different ways of thoughts, feelings, and schemas, and to use these connections, these newer connections, to act in the world. The third C, copying, is our ability of imitation, of to learn by other behaviors. We also need brains that learn by reliably copying one another in order to establish laws and norms to live in harmony. All these letters are integrated between them. The cooperation, we need brains that cooperate on a vast geographical scale. We need brains that cooperate on a vast geographical scale. And the author uses the example of the cupboard of beans, or in my real life, this cup of water was made by people that processed and manufactured it until to arrive for me. There are networks inside us and outside us that allows to survive and alive in ways that are unpleasant or pleasurant for us. Maybe the most important C is the compression and integrability that humans have to a degree not found in another brain. This is our difference between other animals, because the back regions, the regions of this part of our head, are more roots, or less, is, in better words, this region is less developed than this region. Not exactly speaking about the skills because all parts of our brain are different functions, and the last part or the back side of our head, of our brain, has the functions that allow us to control our breath, our weight, our heart, and these more simple functions, the unconscious part of our being. This part of our brain is responsible for this. On the contrary, we have the prefrontal cortex that enable us to think and to act with creativity using a sort of a lot of different ways to think. But the compression is the process or the phenomena that allow the human beings to summarize, to do one synthesis, to take more deeper or more detailed thoughts, and to summarize, to put in a smaller part. For instance, the large neuron doesn't represent all of the signals for the smaller neurons. It summarizes them or compresses them by reducing redundancy. The task is the reduction. In our cerebral cortex, compression begins with small neurons that carry sense data from your eyes, ears, and other sense organs. Those summaries are passed through still larger, more highly connected neurons, which compress those summaries and pass them to even larger, even more highly connected neurons. The density goes up when we summarize old thoughts and when we reduce by compression the system of beliefs. We can to do a synthesis. This is an image that shows the division and this part, the front of our brain, more connected, more integrated, with a density different than this part of our brain, back of brain. Smaller neurons and less connections, fewer connections representing sensory details. Is more linked with sensory details, the back side, the back of brain. For last, the abstraction is obviously an abstract issue, and the abstraction is the ability to perceive meaning in thoughts. Abstraction also allows to impose multiple functions on the same physical object. is linked with creativity, and the abstraction allows us to transform the environment to indeed allow us allow us to change the environment, because the culture is made by abstractions. We have a bigger capacity to do abstraction than other animals. To finish my analysis, I noticed that this is a simple book, because it isn't a technique or a deeper content about the brain, but the author made a good a good a good summary. I'm sure that the author made an abstract of all your knowledge, and I know that the knowledge of the author is shown here, because beyond the profession of the author as a neuroscientist and the collaboration of her colleagues, other neuroscientists, psychologists, anthropologists, all this scientific knowledge shared here is so interesting, because the is an standard, is a way, or is a book that motivated me. Is a book that maybe I will read again to note, to release. Maybe I will read again, but I like it, this reading, because it's simple, and I'm beginning in this field of neurosciences, and I wanted to know more about neuroscience, but specifically about linguistics. For this reason, I bought other book that maybe, or say certainly I will do an analysis, but I know that I will be more confident to talk about these lessons. And this book that there will be the other analysis is called the Neurolinguistics. It's a recent book. For me, it's recent because here in Brazil I have some difficulty to buy read important books because these books, important books, are so expensive for me, and certainly I'm growing up, I'm developing, I'm increasing myself, not only about neuroscience, not only about literature or psychology, and I can say that is a issue, is a theme that I love, and I like so much to know more and more about these issues. I expect that my next review, my next reaction will be more detailed and more deeper than that analysis, but I like it so much as a beginning, as a standard to continue other readings. Thank you for watching.